Did you know that right now someone close to you might be testing your confidence in ways so subtle that you haven't even realized it? Neil Strauss, one of the most respected masters in the art of seduction and social dynamics, discovered that people constantly evaluate your level of personal security through small psychological tests. And if you don't know how to identify them, you're losing incredible opportunities to demonstrate your true worth. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn the 5 most powerful signs that indicate someone is testing your confidence, and more importantly, how to respond in a way that elevates your status and generates immediate respect. The first sign is one of the most common but also one of the most dangerous if you don't know how to handle it. It happens when someone deliberately shows up late or cancels plans at the last minute. We're not talking about real emergencies, but those patterns where the person constantly makes vague excuses like "something came up" or "my day got complicated." Neil Strauss explains that this is what he calls an availability test. The person is measuring how desperate you are for their attention and how much you'll tolerate before setting boundaries. Think about that date you had planned for a week. You arrive on time at the agreed location and receive a message saying they'll be an hour late because they forgot something at home. Your first reaction might be to get annoyed, but then you think, well, these things happen, and decide to wait. Wrong. What's really happening is that you're unconsciously being evaluated. Are you going to stay there like a dog waiting? Are you going to send messages asking where they are? Or are you going to show that your time has value? The correct response is simple, but requires character. Instead of waiting and showing that you have nothing better to do, you send a direct message. "No problem. Let's reschedule for when you have your schedule clear. Have a good day." And you leave. You don't show anger. You don't complain. You simply act like someone who has options and respects their own time. This response immediately flips the dynamic. The person who was testing you suddenly realizes that you're not someone they can easily manipulate. The exercise I want you to do this week is the following. The next time someone is more than 15 minutes late without a valid reason, don't stay waiting. Leave. Not as an act of revenge, but as a silent declaration that your time is valuable. You'll see how it immediately changes their perception of you, but there's something even more subtle that most people don't detect, and we'll talk about that in the next point. The second sign you must recognize immediately is when someone makes seemingly innocent comments that are actually designed to lower your self-esteem. Neil Strauss identifies this as a neg, a technique where the person throws small insults disguised as casual observations. The goal is to make you feel like you need to prove your worth to them. Imagine you're at a social gathering and someone says to you, "That's an interesting shirt, it's very unique. I don't think I could wear something like that." Or maybe, "You look tired today, is everything okay at home?" Superficially, they seem like normal comments. They might even sound like the person cares about you. But they're actually psychological darts designed to generate insecurity. Most people respond exactly as the manipulator expects. They start explaining themselves, justifying their decisions, or seeking approval from whoever is subtly attacking them. "Oh, my sister gave me this shirt. It seemed weird to me too, but..." Or, "Yeah, I've been working a lot lately, but I'm fine, really." Each explanation is a small victory for whoever is testing you, because it shows that their words had an effect. The response that marks the difference between someone with real confidence and someone who lets themselves be manipulated is this. You smile slightly and change the subject. Or even better, you return the comment with humor. "Yeah, it's definitely not for everyone," and continue the conversation as if nothing happened. This response communicates that you don't need that person's approval and that their attempts to destabilize you simply bounce off. Neil Strauss teaches that people who are secure in themselves don't feel the need to defend themselves against every small provocation. In fact, the more you explain yourself, the more insecure you appear. Real confidence is demonstrated through indifference to others' opinions, not through long justifications. Here's a powerful exercise. For the next few days, every time someone makes a comment that you feel is designed to bother you or make you feel insecure, simply smile and change the subject. Don't defend yourself. Don't explain anything. Watch how the conversation dynamic changes and how the person who was trying to provoke you suddenly seems puzzled. Repeat this phrase every morning in front of the mirror. I don't need anyone's approval to know my worth. Let it become your personal mantra, because the next sign we're going to see is even more important, and there are moments where people don't just test your confidence with words, but they test your ability to maintain your personal boundaries. The third sign that Neil Strauss identifies is when someone deliberately crosses your boundaries to see if you're going to defend them. This can manifest in many ways, from small invasions of your personal space to requests that clearly go beyond what's reasonable. The key is recognizing that these aren't accidents, but calculated tests of your personal strength. Has it ever happened to you that someone constantly takes your things without asking permission? Maybe a coworker who always uses your coffee mug, or a friend who checks your phone when you leave it on the table. Superficially, you might think it's just a mug, or we're friends, it doesn't matter. But Neil Strauss explains that these small acts are actually evaluations of your ability to establish and maintain boundaries. When you allow someone to repeatedly cross your boundaries without consequences, you're sending a very clear message that you don't respect yourself enough to make yourself respected. And if you don't respect yourself, why should others? The person who's testing your confidence is learning exactly how far they can go with you before you say, enough. The correct response isn't to explode in anger or make a dramatic scene. Instead, you establish clear boundaries calmly and firmly. I prefer that you ask permission before using my things, or my phone is private, please don't check it. It's not a plea, it's not a suggestion, it's a declaration of how you expect to be treated. What's fascinating is that when you establish clear boundaries, the people who are testing your confidence instantly respect you more. It's as if they had been waiting for you to finally defend yourself. Those who get upset or try to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries are exactly the people you need to distance yourself from. But here's something crucial you must understand. Setting boundaries isn't an aggressive act, it's an act of self-love. Neil Strauss teaches that the most attractive and respected people are those who know exactly what they will and won't tolerate, and communicate it without drama or excessive explanations. Your exercise for this week is to identify a boundary that you've been allowing someone to cross repeatedly. It could be something small, like someone always interrupting when you speak, or something bigger, like someone constantly showing up at your house unannounced. The next time it happens, establish the boundary with a simple and direct phrase. Don't apologize for having standards. But you know what? There's a fourth sign that's even more subtle and dangerous, because it directly attacks your ability to trust your own judgment. The fourth sign you must recognize immediately is when someone constantly questions your decisions or minimizes your achievements. Neil Strauss identifies this tactic as soft gaslighting, where the person doesn't attack you directly, but plants seeds of doubt about your competence and personal judgment. This manifests through seemingly harmless phrases like, "Are you sure that's the best decision?" when you've just told them about a choice you made. Or when you achieve something important and their first reaction is, "You got lucky," instead of recognizing your effort and skill. It can also be more direct. "I don't know. I would have done things differently," every time you tell them about your plans or projects. The goal of these people isn't necessarily to hurt you consciously, but unconsciously they're testing whether you're someone who stands firm in their convictions, or if you're easy to manipulate by planting doubts in your mind. They want to see if they're going to get you to start questioning your own judgment and eventually depend on their approval to make decisions. The trap that most people fall into is starting to explain their decisions in detail, as if they needed to convince the other person that they're right. "Well, it's just that I analyzed all the options and considered that," or "it actually wasn't luck, I worked very hard for." Each explanation is a signal that their comments are working, that they're managing to make you doubt yourself. Neil Strauss teaches that truly confident people don't feel the need to justify every decision they make to people who aren't directly involved in the consequences. The most powerful response is a calm smile and a simple phrase like, "I'm comfortable with my decision," or "It worked well for me." Period. No more explanations. This is especially important in romantic situations. If you're dating someone who constantly questions your choices, from what clothes you wear to how you handle your career, it's not because they care about you. It's because they're testing how easy you are to control. A partner who truly loves and respects you can offer their perspective when you ask for it, but they won't be constantly undermining your confidence in your own judgment. The exercise for this sign is particularly powerful. For one complete week, every time someone questions a decision of yours that doesn't directly affect them, simply say, "Thanks for your perspective," and change the subject. Don't justify yourself, don't get into debates, watch how the person reacts. Those who respect your autonomy will accept your response. Those who insist that you explain yourself are revealing their true intentions. And here's something I want you to do right now. Go to the comments and write, "I trust my judgment and don't need to justify myself to anyone." This isn't just for the YouTube algorithm, it's a declaration you need to make for yourself. Because when you internalize this truth, you become immune to the subtle manipulations of those who want to control your life. But I saved the most important sign for last, because it's the one that can completely transform the way people perceive and treat you. The fifth and most crucial sign that Neil Strauss identifies is when someone tries to make you compete for their attention or affection. This is the most sophisticated test of your confidence because it directly attacks your self-esteem and your sense of self-worth. It manifests when the person constantly mentions other people in a way that makes you feel like you have to earn your place in their life. In the romantic context, this might sound like, "My ex used to take me to more expensive restaurants," or "My friend John really knows how to treat a woman." In friendship or work contexts, it could be, "My other friend always has time for me," or "My previous assistant never made these kinds of mistakes." The subliminal message is clear. You're not enough as you are, and there are other people who could easily take your place. The natural reaction of most people is exactly what the manipulator is looking for. They start competing. They try harder, spend more money, sacrifice more time, all hoping to prove that they're better than those other people who are constantly mentioned. But here's the trap. It will never be enough, because the goal isn't really for you to be better, but to keep you in a constant state of insecurity where you feel like you have to earn their approval over and over again. Neil Strauss explains that truly valuable people don't compete for anyone's attention, not because they're arrogant, but because they understand a fundamental principle. If someone can't see your value without you having to constantly prove it to them, then that person doesn't deserve to be in your life. The response that marks the difference between someone with real self-esteem and someone who lets themselves be manipulated is devastatingly simple. That's great that you have so many options. And then you walk away, not with anger, not with drama, simply with the tranquility of someone who knows their value doesn't depend on winning popularity contests. This response is powerful because it completely flips the dynamic. Instead of competing for their attention, you're communicating that you have your own options and that you don't need to beg for anyone's affection. The person who was testing you suddenly realizes that their tactic not only didn't work, but it pushed you away from them. But here's something very few people understand. When you stop competing for someone's attention, paradoxically, you become more attractive to that person. Why? Because scarcity generates desire. When you're the only one who isn't desperately trying to impress them, you naturally stand out. The most transformative exercise you can do is this. Identify a person in your life who constantly makes you feel like you have to compete for their attention. For 2 complete weeks, stop doing it. Don't respond immediately to their messages. Don't make extra effort to impress them. Don't change your plans to accommodate theirs. Simply live your life as if that person were just one more in your social circle, not the center of your universe. The results will surprise you. One of 2 things will happen. Either the person will start valuing you more because you're no longer taken for granted, or they'll show their true manipulative nature by getting upset because they lost control over you. Either way, you'll have won, because you'll have respected yourself enough not to play games you can't win. And here I want you to do something powerful right now. Repeat this declaration out loud. I don't compete for anyone's affection. My value is not in question. Say it with conviction, because when you really believe these words, your energy changes. People perceive it and start treating you with the respect you always deserved. Neil Strauss says something profound in his book, The Game. Confidence isn't about feeling superior to others, it's about not feeling inferior to anyone. And that's exactly the mindset you need to develop to be immune to all these psychological tests. But I also want to talk to you about something important. Recognizing these signs doesn't mean you should become paranoid or distrustful of all people. Most people aren't conscious manipulators. Often these behaviors arise from their own insecurities and fears. The point isn't to judge or attack those who exhibit these behaviors, but to protect your own energy and emotional well-being. When you develop the ability to identify and appropriately respond to these confidence tests, you not only protect yourself from manipulation, but you also help other people relate to you in a more authentic and healthy way. You're teaching them, through your actions, that relationships based on mutual respect are much more satisfying than those based on power games. And here comes the most important part of everything we've talked about today. Implementing these changes in your life isn't going to be easy at first. Your brain is programmed to seek approval and avoid conflicts. When you start setting boundaries and not tolerating disrespect, some people are going to react negatively. They're going to try to make you feel guilty. They're going to tell you that you've changed. They're going to try to manipulate you to return to your previous behavior. But here's the truth that Neil Strauss teaches. The people who get upset when you stop allowing them to mistreat you are exactly the people you needed to distance yourself from. Their negative reaction is confirmation that you're doing the right thing. On the other hand, people who truly value you will respect your new boundaries. They might be surprised by the change at first, but they'll adapt because they genuinely appreciate your friendship or love, and something incredible is going to start happening. New people will come into your life, people who from the beginning treat you with the respect you deserve because that's the energy you're projecting. Remember that real confidence isn't something you can fake or act. It's something that develops through consistent practice of respecting yourself. Every time you set a boundary, every time you don't compete for attention, every time you trust your own judgment despite the doubts others try to plant, you're strengthening your real self-esteem. The change won't be immediate, but it will be permanent. And once you experience what it feels like to live without constantly proving your worth to others, you'll never want to go back to your old way of relating. Now I want you to do something that's going to mark a before and after in your life. Go to the comments right now and write this declaration. I choose to respect myself and only accept relationships based on mutual respect. It's not just a comment to help the channel, although that's also appreciated. It's a public commitment to yourself, a declaration that you're ready to live a life where your confidence is no longer constantly being tested because you project an energy that clearly says, this person knows what they're worth. And if this video has served to open your eyes about dynamics you maybe hadn't recognized before in your relationships, there's much more content waiting for you on this channel. Subscribe and hit the bell because every week I share powerful strategies based on the best masters of social psychology to help you develop more authentic and satisfying relationships. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. We all have people in our lives who are allowing others to treat them badly simply because they don't know how to recognize these subtle signs of manipulation. Your task for the next 7 days is simple but powerful. Implement one of these responses every time you identify that someone is testing your confidence. Not all at once, because that would be overwhelming. Choose the situation that repeats most in your life and focus on changing your response only in that area. It could be stopping explaining yourself when someone criticizes your decisions. It could be establishing clear boundaries the next time someone invades your personal space. It could be not competing for the attention of that person who constantly makes you feel like you're not enough. Whatever situation you choose, commit to changing your response for 1 complete week. And here's my promise, if you do it, if you really implement these changes, you're going to start noticing a difference not only in how others treat you, but in how you feel about yourself. Because at the end of the day, real confidence isn't about convincing others of your value. It's about knowing your value so deeply that you don't need external validation to feel complete. And when you reach that point, when you really internalize that truth, that's when you become truly unstoppable. People will notice it. They'll feel that different energy you project, and they'll start treating you according to the standard you yourself have established. Because that's how the world works. You get the treatment you teach people to give you. Neil Strauss puts it perfectly. Respect isn't begged for, it's earned. and it's earned by respecting yourself first. Make this phrase your mantra. Repeat it every morning when you wake up, and watch how your life starts transforming in ways you didn't think were possible. See you in the next video, where we're going to dive even deeper into strategies for developing unshakable confidence that no one can touch. Until then, remember, you have the power to decide how you want to be treated. Use it.